We in here.
Here we are.
We in this.
We still in there. We came back. We had some technical difficulties, but we back.
All right, so welcome back to A Couple Facts, the podcast. I go by the name of Mark.
I'm Shay.
And we're the team. This is the gang, squad. A couple facts. So today we're first, if you're on YouTube watching us, you see that we have a new setup. We got some brand new mics, hoping that the sound quality is a little bit better. Made some improvements. We got this microphone, kind of low key feel like a rapper.
A rapper?
Yeah.
I feel like a podcaster.
I feel like I'm in the booth, about to drop that I-16.
Okay.
I got when you be like, yo, turn me up, turn my snare up. I need some snare.
If anything, I feel like either a podcaster or a TV, like a news reporter.
A radio host?
Or something like that. Yeah, I definitely feel like, what's his name? Angela Lee. What's her name? Charlemagne.
You sound like Webby when he went in there trying to...
At this point, I'm Charlemagne the God. Just call me Charlemagne the God.
And this your boy Webby, and I'm up here at the Breakfast Club with Angela Gee, Charlemagne the God, and DJ. Man, y'all got some names on y'all.
Yeah, because I can't even think of the other dude's name.
Charlotte McGay.
What the other dude? DJ Envy.
DJ Envy.
That comes after you.
DJ Envy, Angela Gee, and Charlotte McGay. That was so funny. You got to know what I'm talking about.
I don't, because I don't really do all that.
Webby, I need you to go in the studio and do some drops for the Breakfast Club, man. DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlemagne the God. You already know what it is. Thank you.
DJ Envy, Angela Gee, and Charlemagne the God. Let me read that part. God damn, girl. Y'all got some names on that now. What up, you already know who it is. It's me, Webby the Trio Fam, Young Savage, Sweet Jones Jr. Doing what I do, and I'm doing it with my girl, DJ Envy, Angela Yee. Damn. Angela Yee. Hold up. DJ Envy, Angela Yee, and Charlotte McGay. Man, hold up. Oh, Charlemagne. DJ Envy, Angela Yee, and Charlemagne the God. DJ Lee. Hold up. DJ Envy, Angela Lee, and Charlemagne McGain. What up? You already know who it is. It's me, Webby the Trio Fam, Young Savage, Sweet Jones, and you rocking with DJ Envy, Angela Yee, and Charlemagne. I don't think I'll never be able to say that right now. I mean, Charlemagne. Hold on, say it one more time. Charlemagne the God. Charlemagne the God. Who that is? The asshole. Come on, you ready? Let's do it. What up? It's me, Webby the Trio Fam, Young Savage, Sweet Jones, and you kicking it with DJ Envy, Angela Yee, and Charlemagne the God. This is the Breakfast Club, baby.
Here's the thing.
He was doing a little drop for the radio.
Do you have your own particular intro that you about to hit us with, or can I just go ahead and jump right into it?
Oh, wait, you about to make an intro?
Well, I'm not making an intro, but I'm going to go ahead and start with this.
Oh, you starting to drop the facts?
Yes.
Oh, well, I just want to give the listeners a little precursor, a little pre-warning. This may get a little sensitive. Some people see this as a sensitive topic. Anytime you're talking about religion.
Oh, we're doing religion first.
And what you thought it was?
No, go ahead. We good. I got my religious facts.
Yeah. So today we're talking about church and why so many young people are leaving the church. Seems like this new generation, they're just leaving the church, and not just people who've never been in the church. We're talking about people who grew up in the church.
Yes, which is us.
From an early age, they say train up a child in which he should go, and
he'll never go astray. Basically,
there you go.
Yeah.
So why are all these people going astray if you raise them up how they should be, and they're going astray?
Are they going astray? That's what we're going to talk about. Because
are they going astray? Questioning if they're going astray.
Well,
you went astray.
What I'm saying is, if you aren't in church regularly at a facility, does that mean you've gone astray? I got some facts for that.
Well, no, because they say you're supposed to be there in the church, in the house of the Lord.
Who's they? Stay away from they. Like PJ Khaled said.
Everybody in the church. Everybody who goes to church faithfully every Sunday.
Okay, so you guys, whenever we come across like a cool fact or something, like we've told you guys this before, we're practically statisticians and analysts. And so whenever we come across something online, we like to do some research just to kind of see what is what, because we just like to I don't know, we just like learning about data. I don't have no other way to put it. And so anyway, one topic that came up for him was somebody, I think Creflo Dollar.
Yes, Creflo Dollar talking about tithing and stuff.
In church and this and that and the third.
He said he was teaching the wrong thing when it came to tithing, and now he's basically totally flipped his ideas about tithing.
Right. So our purpose here isn't to really share opinions. That's what I try to stay away from, but rather facts.
And experiences.
So we did a little research, and so I'm reading from reachwrightstudios.com.
Chad, I thought you was about to pull up a verse. You said, I'm reading from. Chad, I thought you was about to say Matthew.
Stand and open your Bibles to Psalms 23, verse 3. Anywho, so we were looking at some stats, and I see that non-practicing Christians have grown from 35% to 43% from 2000 to 2020. During the same time, practicing Christians declined from 45% to 25%. Non-Christians or agnostic rose from 20% to 32%. Regular church attendance has declined. This was happening even before COVID.
I was say before COVID.
Weekly church attendance had declined from 45% in 1993 to 29% in 2020. However, this is an increase from 2017 when weekly attendance was at 27%. People who aren't going to church regularly still report that they have prayed in the last week. 69% of Christians had prayed within the last week, which, all of this is sounding good to me because I'm like, yep, this is me.
Yeah,
But it is a small decline from 83% in 1996. It says that basically, if you look at this, millennials bring up, what is this? Elders, the oldest track generation by Barna, is still the most active with 37% attending weekly. Millennials bring up the rear with just 25% attending weekly. Tithing numbers are still low and continue to be low. Faith remained strong during COVID-19, despite folks not attending church regularly. So I think all of this came about post-COVID. And so those are, it's a lot of stuff. I would be all day kind of reading all of this, but that's some of the information that I found regarding church. You have any other statistics to share?
Yeah, well, off the head, when you talk about tithing numbers were still low. I read a number, I believe, earlier this week.
I got a stat. You tell me. Go ahead.
It says something about, out of all the churchgoers, only 10% of the church tithes.
Where'd you read that? Because I read that today.
I don't know. It had something to do whenever I was looking at the Creflo Dollar stuff, and then I did a little, just internet search and came up with 10% of churchgoers tithe.
One study found only 5% of churchgoers gave 10% or more of their annual income to church or any other charity. But it's not just your church. People haven't been the most charitable, with 30% not giving anything to any charitable. On the other hand, 50% give up to 2%. So basically, churches, folks are not tithing. So what's interesting to me is that some folks aren't even attending church regularly, and then they're especially not tithing. Again, I'm sure most of these stats came post-COVID or in the wake of COVID, but what are your thoughts? Or what have you concluded regarding these facts?
It seems like, all right, so you said one was like, they were comparing the numbers from 1993 to today or whatever, and it seemed like it was like a 50% drop-off of like church attendance. Like, I think it said like 49 or something was not 49% in 1993, and now it's only 20-some% now. Like, that's a huge drop-off. But a few things of what I found, I was just looking up this thing, said many parents and church leaders wonder how to most effectively cultivate durable faith in the lives of young people. Then I looked up this this research project. I believe it's from the same people that gave your facts, the Barna Group or something like that. They did a study of, let's see, I just lost my place. All right, so the research project was made of 8 national studies, including interviews with teenagers, young adults, parents, youth pastors, senior pastors. The study focused on those who are regular churchgoers, people who went to church during their teenage years with their parents, middle school, high school. And they found that there was a disconnection from the church after the age of 15. So 15, that's like what, your freshman, your high school years, going into college or whatever. They said no single reason dominated the breakup between church and young adults. There was no one single factor that led these people to leave the church. Instead, there was multiple reasons. There was a variety of reasons. The top 6 reasons. I was about to say, can you guess what the 6 reasons are? That's,
No.
That's quite a bit. All right, so reason number 1, they said churches seem overprotective. They say Christians demonize everything outside of the church.
Yeah.
They say my church is too concerned with movies, music, video games, saying that's harmful. So I guess that number 1 reason, saying that churches are overprotective, saying that I guess they don't want you to be too worldly and too secular, and
so not really overprotective, more like too conservative or kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I guess like judge you if you do partake in like listening to rap music.
Which is correct. Yes.
Yeah. All right, so that was one reason. Reason number 2, teens and 20-somethings experience, they say Christianity is shallow. Let's see, 1/3 said church is boring. Let's see, according to these young adults, said faith is not relevant to my career or interests.
Oh my word.
23% said the Bible is not taught clearly or often enough. 20% said God seems missing from my experience of church. So I guess that would be saying that. Let's see. Yeah, they said it's boring. They said it's not relevant to their lives these days. Wait, what was it? Was that a clap?
You know, the crickets.
She hit me with the crickets.
I missed my opportunity.
Oh wait, was that for me or was that for church being boring?
It was for you because you were trying to think of something.
I was trying to think of my thoughts.
Right.
So yeah. All right. So reason number 3: churches come across as antagonistic to science. And I can see that. The whole thing about the Big Bang Theory versus evolution and, God created the heavens and earth. So some people don't agree with that. Some people, that's a whole debate. They say Christians are too confident that they know all the answers. Just because they can go to the Bible and list off things, but...
I feel like they must have surveyed like millennials, although we are millennials.
This is teenagers, 20-something.
This sounds exactly like what the generation under, like the late part of the millennials and the generation under us would. These are all things that they would say because, like, some of the things I'm like the too boring. Yeah. I mean, church isn't like
it's not supposed. Yeah, it's not supposed. Well, I don't know because
some churches are boring.
You hear pastors saying, "Oh, you could turn up at the club, but." When you get up in here in the church, you can't do nothing. You just sit there and it's boring. It's supposed to be the same situation.
I see. So,
and I feel like that was, back to number 2, saying that the church is too shallow or something.
I got you. But yeah, this still sounds like stuff like 17-year-olds would be saying.
They say Christianity is anti-science. They've been turned off by the creation versus evolution debate. They say reason number 4, young Christians' church experiences related to sexuality are often simplistic and judgmental. Mm-hmm. Let's see, I'm not really quite sure. Let's see, young Christians' church experiences related to sexuality. What, is that because they're gay or something? This new generation is gay?
They say they're what?
It said young Christians' church experiences related to sexuality are often simplistic and judgmental.
I would say that has something to do with LGBTQ plus youth. I mean, like, folks, yes. Because
I can read what it said to explain it a little bit.
Well, I can already tell you because a lot of people think gender and sexuality is more fluid now than, what we were led to believe. They don't just believe in female, male, all that stuff, of course. We've talked about that ad nauseum.
Okay, I think they're talking about, like, the church is out of touch with, like, real life, like, teens and early 20-somethings are trying to have sex.
I was going to say, or are they talking about the sexual act?
Yeah. All right, so it said with unfettered access to digital pornography and immersed in a culture that values hypersexuality over wholeness, teens and 20-something Christians are struggling with how to live meaningful lives in terms of sex and sexuality. One of the significant tensions for many young believers is how to live up to the church's expectations of chastity and sexual purity in this culture, especially as the age of first marriage is now commonly delayed to the late 20s. So yeah, they're trying to have sex before marriage and like trying to live like a regular life, but the church is saying nah.
Which they would define as secular.
No sex before marriage. But then nowadays, well, back in the days, back in the 1920s, 1930s, people would be married right out of high school.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you don't get married to like your late 20s, 30s, 40s. Some might not even have.
Yeah, and if you get married before that, people think it's strange. Even though, like, if you get married at 20, like
these days, if you get married out of high school,
I feel like we could have gotten married at when we first. I mean, like, realistically speaking, take away us wanting to really get to know one another and all of that. Like, we could have gotten married then, but I feel like the foundation for like a friendship and all of that would have been completely lost. But like realistically speaking, we could have gotten married, 10 years ago when we first met and probably still be in the same, because, we did go on to learn that we are compatible in a lot of different ways and we have a lot of different similar beliefs and values. So, but like, I feel like, I mean, unless you know the person in high school and you're already in a relationship or whatever, anyway, I just think,
marriage right there.
Yeah, I don't think this generation and the ones after are going for getting married are going to be as likely to get married at like 20 or 21 or something like that. Definitely not. So anyway.
Sorry for y'all watching on YouTube.
They can't see.
If y'all heard any licking or anything, that was our dog.
She should be canceled.
I've kind of just
with her noise.
Pillow at her.
Yeah. She should be canceled with her noise, but of all this house that we have, I don't know why she wants to come in here.
Laid up right under us.
And lick. Oh, I can't stand the licking.
All right, so some more teenagers said they've made mistakes and they feel judged in church because of their mistakes.
Yeah.
I can see that with like teenage pregnancies and stuff like that, or just getting pregnant without being married. In the church, people gonna judge.
I don't think, though, in my experience with you reading, not my experience, this has nothing to do with my experience, with you reading that stuff to me, I don't think that children are, I think that the lives that they are wanting to lead, which are more worldly, quote unquote, if you're listening and not watching, and more secular, is, that's the lives that they want to lead. And so, therefore, they don't really want much to do with church, and folks aren't like making them go, because millennials who have kids, we know millennials like us who have kids that are like 18, 17, 16.
Yeah, I was just scrolling Facebook today. One of my friends I grew up with said happy birthday to his 18-year-old.
Oh my God.
Bro, I'm 32, so I'm doing the math. I mean, he had this girl at 14 years old.
Yeah. By the way, I would love to have like a 10-year-old, but that would have required me to have a child at 21, and my life was in shambles. But anywho, I think that because millennials, or I wonder what the data is on millennials not attending church as regularly, and so therefore whoever's after that, Gen Zers,
I think so.
They're not going because they don't really have to. You know what I'm saying? Because their parents aren't going. I wonder what the data is on that.
Oh yeah. Because we're their parents. We're Gen Z's parents, right? Yeah. So we're not going. If we the ones that dropped out of church, then the generation after us, they're not going to be in the church. So those numbers are going to keep on, rolling further away from the church. Right.
So for us, just like school wasn't an option, like going to school and performing well wasn't an option, which is more optional. Kids now, they just have more options. They can do more things that we wouldn't have fathomed. But I think the same thing holds for church. Was church, or could you just not go to church on Sunday?
No, I had to. That's what I'm saying. I was being woken up. And this was as long as I was in the house, like as before I went to college, up until I left to go to college. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Was that
every Sunday?
Was it an option? It's not an option.
Get up, we're going.
Now things
even
are
if you went out last night to party, if you can stay out night party, you can get up for church.
Which does not correlate well, because if you staying out to 3 a.m. and then you trying to get up at 9 o'clock for Sunday,
and you can stay up all night. All night partying, then you could wake up and go to church.
Yeah, although that's not realistic. I mean, like, that's not like a realistic thing, but I get it.
Yeah, they don't relate to each other.
They don't. It's like, if I'm out until 4 a.m., why would I be able to get up at 9 a.m. to go to Sunday school? Right. Like, holla at me at like 1 o'clock. But anyway, that's obviously a matter of priority. So for reference, if you're wondering, where we are with our journey and whatnot. So we were both raised in the church. I was president of my youth group. I just want to point that out there.
Excuse me.
I just want to point that out there. So I did the, voting, you got to stand and we moved motions.
Well, you're president of what?
Of the youth group.
What did y'all
My
vote
church
on?
group. Like,
where to go on field trips?
different what we ate and treats and little.
Which
trips.
I ate.
Yeah, and then I
You were the president.
I started the group. I started the.
You were the president of which I ate.
I started. And I'm just saying, I was president up until I went to college at 17. So I opened up. You know, I think I had that. We stood up and we did whatever.
Minister
and then afterwards, I dismissed it. I had some kind of routine. Like I did exactly what I guess the elderly folks were doing. You
said the prayer before y'all left.
I did all of it. I appointed a secretary. Alicia was the secretary. I was a secretary at once, and then I got moved on up.
And then you got promoted.
I was Madam Vice President. Then I moved
Madam Vice President.
Yes. And then I moved up to Madam President. So I was a heavy churchgoer. Multiple times a week. We met because we did moms and, ministry and stuff. Like,
praise team.
Little acts and skits and Easter skits and stuff. So I headed all of that. But we did that. So I went there twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, up until 17. And I went to Sunday school and church. And sometimes I went to a second church because sometimes.
Oh, wait, wrong one. It was supposed to be. Supposed to give you a round of applause.
Sometimes we would do, because some churches, like our sister churches, if you will, did not have youth ministry. So if they wanted us to go and do something, then I would have to go after our church over the mountain, is what we called it, to the next location. So anyway, I was in church a whole lot. And so even then, in my being in church a whole lot, I felt obviously more, I guess, comfortable. I guess it was a good experience because there were we had kids get kicked out of church and stuff like that. So like it was rough. But like the ones who actually made it through, it was probably like a good 6 of us. And so I guess having friends who were also on the path that I was helpful. But make no mistake, I always was, I guess more serious about my faith than the next kid because, like sex before.
Because you was the president.
True.
How would it look
but
if
even
the
before
president
being
was out there in
the
the
president,
streets?
no one could come to me and ask if I wanted to go smoke or. I just remember we need to talk about this because I think it was about freedom, like kids having freedom. Somebody was talking about this. I think
helicopter parents or something.
Somebody was talking about this. I think in a YouTube video and talking about their parents being strict, so they just went and did things. They snuck and did things, and I was thinking, I literally snuck and did nothing. I was able to do everything. Same. I could stay out to like 11 o'clock or even 12 o'clock in the morning if I called my mom and told her where I was because I wasn't doing smoking weed, doing drugs. Like I wasn't drinking, doing anything that wasn't of the Bible, basically, at that age, like at all. And so, I took my first drink of alcohol at like 23, 24. But like, because I wasn't doing those things and I made that clear to her, like she didn't have to guess whether I was or not. But I guess what I'm saying is, the point that I'm trying to drive home is, I could go and do things and run the streets and have fun. Even if my friends were doing what they were doing, they would never, like they already knew I wasn't going to take a drink of alcohol or I wasn't going to smoke cigarettes or weed or like whatever the case is. And so I guess what I'm saying is that doesn't change. I can see how it can be helpful to be around those kind of people in the church if those are the type of people that you're around. But that doesn't change.
The ones who are doing the drugs and
the ones who are not similar people to me. But that doesn't change just because it could change depending on if your faith is strong or not. But that doesn't change. Like when I went to college, I wasn't about to take a drink of alcohol or party and do all these other kind of things.
In college?
No, we've talked about this the other day. I didn't want to do that. Like there was no interest of me to do those things. So it didn't matter.
A whole square.
So it didn't matter. It does not matter today if I'm in the church or if I'm out of the church. I guess is what I'm saying. I don't relate my faith to being in a facility or being even around people who are the same way. Because I'm going to stand 10 toes down on what I believe in no matter what, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense.
You get what I'm saying?
10 toes down.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, I guess when I think so, all of that to say, we both were raised in the church heavily. And so we've tried like so many churches here. And there are some that are okay, but like none that
Wait,
like
before you get to what we're doing now, let me
tell your story.
Talk about
Okay.
how I came up in the
Talk
church.
your shit.
Now, if you're looking at a choir, I was in the choir, children's choir.
But so you would have answered to me.
Huh?
You would have answered to me.
I guess because they never let me have a solo. I always wanted a solo.
Oh, well, I could. Well, you went.
Wait, I had one solo and I had to beg.
Okay, I ain't had no solo either because I can't sing, but I play the piano.
I can't sing either, but you feel some type of way when everybody else gets their own little solo part.
Oh no, because I'm not about to embarrass myself.
So you don't want to just at least try it out one time?
No, I play the piano. So
you play piano?
You know that.
No, I don't.
I told you I took 6 years of piano.
Can you play something?
With I could probably.
To this day,
I could probably play Fury Leaves. I keep telling you that. Or you know that? I think that's.
You don't even know how it goes.
I literally don't.
You're not.
That's Fury Leaves.
Okay, cool.
So I would play the piano, but I had no other skill set, so therefore I wasn't gonna feel a way about. I could mime and stuff like that.
Who can't mime?
That's what I'm saying. Do what you can do. How you mad because you can't sing?
All right, so I'm talking about when I was in West Virginia and we had this small church. It was I guess the little differences in the church.
Everything's small.
It was First AME. First AME
Okay.
Zion, is that like a denomination or is that like a different? I don't know what it is.
I'm literally sipping tea. I was gonna say sip tea. This is no sugar sweet tea, by the way. You've got to get into it if you like sweet tea.
But yeah, it was the First AME Zion. Little church pews, little small choir. It was probably like 50 people in the whole church, and that's being generous. Maybe 30.
That's my kind of church.
My aunt was the piano player, and me, all my
They still go to that church.
They do.
Okay.
And all my cousins were in the choir, and then it was 2 other families that made up the church, pretty much.
That's all you need.
So, at one point in time, in the church choir, I felt like a little celebrity because they had us traveling. We would travel to Tennessee. We would travel to other parts of Virginia to sing. We would do charity singing work. It was one thing called Boxes for Bosnia or something like that. And when they would have, we were on tour. We were on a world tour, singing church songs, singing Boxes for Bosnia.
Who was singing? Who was on the world tour? You?
Me and my cousins.
Or your aunt?
Me, my cousins.
All your cousins?
She was the piano player. Me, Shonda, Kevin,
Look how y'all turned out.
Right. I don't think none of us go to church regularly.
Yeah.
All right, so that's when I was in West Virginia. Then I got a little bit older. Moved here to Georgia, and my mom's like we said, church was never an option.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just good enough to go to church. You had to participate in church. You had to do something. So when I got down here, first I joined the choir, but then as you get older, get into 8th grade, 9th grade, you don't really want to be singing and all like that. So I went from the choir to ushering. So I was on the usher board.
Of course you were.
Letting people, and I was like one of the top ushers. Don't play me. Don't play me.
I can see that now. I saw a picture of you ushering.
All right, so when you first start, they put you in the back, to hold the doors when you ain't supposed to let people in when you're praying and stuff. But then when you get some experience, when you top dog, you get to be up there in the pulpit with the pastor and all that. When all eyes are on you, you're the pastor's right here in the middle, and then they have an usher on this side, usher on that side. Yeah. So I was like the main usher, the direct usher, telling the ushers when to sit down, when the pastor preaches, telling the other ushers when to take a break and all that, telling them when to get back up because church is about to end and all that. So yeah, I was an usher. That was my little experience coming up in the church.
So what was your youth ministry choir chorus called?
It was just the children's choir.
You want to know what my group was? It's AGC.
AGC? What's that?
I want you to guess.
A good church?
No.
A great church?
No, it's about kids.
A great child?
No.
A greater child?
No.
All great children?
Almost.
All great.
Change the second word.
All God's children.
So that was us. So yeah, we were deep. I remember some kids just get kicked out because we would, Tuesday and Thursday people taking it was 2 women
Speaking of people getting kicked out, my friend who had the 18-year-old,
he was kicked out?
No, he wasn't kicked out, but he was in the choir with us.
Oh, okay. Well, we would, Tuesdays and Thursdays, these folks taking up time out of it because one of them, who's actually still alive, she could sing and play the piano, and so she would like facilitate our songs and stuff like that. Then the other person, she pretty much did everything else. But anyway, that's Angelique's mom. But anywho, yeah, folks, we started with like, when they first started, I was probably like 14, and it was probably like 25 of us. But as the months and stuff would go on, people would get kicked out because we going right to there from school, and you know they probably come. Yeah, Miss Betty would come after work, so yeah, 4:30. That's when she got off work at the courthouse at like 4 something. But anywho, they're coming, taking up time twice per week, and then even extra time on Sunday, as opposed to just attending church and stuff, doing what they regularly would do. And so therefore, they have no time for no kids to be fighting and all that. So people got kicked out. But at the end, it was like a good 6 of us. But yeah, church definitely wasn't an option. So where we are today is, obviously we both ended up in West Virginia, post-college, in college, you know, watch our episode 1 if you want to know our story and whatnot. And so then we got back here, and I'd say we've tried countless churches. We normally just go to whatever church his mom.
We tried Catholic churches.
Countless.
I was about to say, I've never been to a Catholic church.
I have. Is that... No, I went to a Jewish synagogue. Yeah, with a rabbi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In college, nobody cares. But in grad school, we had to take a class called Cultural Diversity, something like that. And so basically, because of the work that we do and the work that we were going to do, we have to be able to not be judgmental and critical towards people of different religions and races and all of that. So I had the race thing down pat. I'm not going to be mean to somebody because they're a different race than me, but religion, I didn't really know about other religions. And so that's when I read the Malcolm X book, learned about the Nation of Islam. That was a part of my thing. I went to, we took a class, we were 25, 28, 35, 40, 50, 60. It was a whole bunch of folks in there. We took a field trip. We all drove separate cars to a Jewish synagogue on whatever day they are there. I think it's not like a Bible study, but like, I don't know, like a Wednesday they do a service or something.
Mass.
Then we went to a church that was, it was 2 wives, and one was a pastor and one was like the first lady. So I guess for lack of better terms, and LGBT. Yeah, I think we could probably call it that back in the day.
I ain't never heard of that.
Yeah, I went to that. I was like 24.
I've never heard of that.
We took a field trip to this place. Literally, it's like 20 of us. We young and old. We sat in the back, and they did. It was like a Tuesday or something, because each group had to kind of dictate what world we would explore. And so one group said we're going to a Jewish synagogue or one whatever. So we went and we sat in the back, and they did their thing or whatever, and then they left. I mean, it wasn't that many. It was probably both of the women were white, and then it was probably outside of us, maybe like 10 people in there. But that was just a weekday, so I assume
a gay church.
Yeah, well, that's probably not.
So what religion was it?
I think Baptist.
Baptist is under Christianity.
Well, I think the purpose. Yeah, I think the purpose was that, like, what drove that. That was my first experience too. Is that I think the woman wanted to be a minister, and so, you know. With a wife.
She's preaching the Bible and being gay at the same time.
Yes.
I only say that because, you know, the thing about, you know, we were just talking about these facts and how, you know, how the youth, they were led away from the church because of not being able to live their sexual lives and stuff. And now, you know, you got gay pastors.
Queer. Change your word from gay to quear.
Gay is offensive.
I think to be politically correct, we say queer now.
Okay, so queer
pastors
teaching the Bible. I don't know, that's just new. And
yeah, this was 10 years ago, and so I'll never forget that experience. First of all, I'm glad they even let us in there, I guess, because anyway, I think even the Jewish synagogue, we literally just infiltrated their meetings. I guess I'm just shook that either of them even let this whole group, and I guess, you know, like it's it was helpful because obviously we were all trying to learn more or whatever. But yes, so all of that to say, I've never encountered anything other than that. And what I was saying is that I didn't know a lot about different religions at the time. But anywho, that was what we did.
So I think that might be one problem or one reason why, people are leaving the church, because I don't know, just in that story right there, it just seems unclear, or like just seems hypocritical, to be gay and be preaching preaching the Bible that says being gay is a sin, being queer is a sin. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay.
So what would that have to do with the person leaving the church? What are you saying?
All right, so I'm saying, so the pastor could be queer and teach this thing that says not to be queer, and, it's okay. But if I'm over here and I'm being judged for, maybe a woman's being judged for wearing pants or something like that, or what? Aren't women supposed to wear dresses all the time or something? Or they're not allowed to wear pants or something?
Certain denominations, like Pentecostal and stuff.
That's in the Bible,
yeah,
right?
But some folks don't follow that.
And that's the reason why people are leaving the church. How are you going to say what things you can follow and what things not to follow? So you want me to tell you
why? What your answer is?
Because times have changed.
No, because there are so many types of religion. There are so many denominations of Christianity. Some believe this, some believe that, some believe this, some believe that. And the reason why I'm bringing this full circle is because I was raised Pentecostal, then with the youth group and all
Pentecostal, they the ones that are in church all day.
All day.
Yeah,
all
screaming and shouting.
All day. And then...
I'm glad I ain't come up with that.
all day. And then I went to a Baptist church, because that was in my community. I went to the church that was close to us. That's what we did. Yeah. But anywho...
That's another thing.
It was completely different. Like, Pentecostal, they did communion. Baptist church, they, didn't really want to do
communion.
But they didn't, really want to, because some people, they didn't
all Christianity did communion. First Amy and Zion did communion.
Nope. Some go to do, let the Spirit take them wherever at church during the day. Some cutting that thing off at an hour and a half, 2 hours, and going on. Literally, there's just varying. So you have to pick what is going to fit you best. And so, back to us, we have tried countless, is what I was saying. I should say multiple churches. But we normally just go wherever his mom is going to church. But she also switches churches a lot. I think so.
Every few years.
Yeah, I think it's a lot. Because only, from 0 to 17, having only gone to 2 churches, and that's just because of where we lived, I would say that...
never mind. I was about to say there was only 2 or 3 churches in the whole town.
So I would say probably
4
black churches, probably 8.
Oh, okay, that's a whole lot.
So that's pretty much what we've been doing while we're here.
And nowadays it's hard to pick. How do you decide which church you're going to go to? Well, nowadays there's a church on every single corner. You can't go 2 or 3 blocks without seeing a church. No matter what, they might be different but I swear there's a Baptist church.
That's what we kind of get overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's okay, I want to visit
try this church. Try this church.
Place over here. Okay, this looks like a cool place.
And then we try it, and then the church ain't really giving what it needs to give. Yeah. Or he'll like some of it. And
I like parts. Yeah. So the reasons why we go to church, I guess that's the thing.
Well, you know why I go to church.
She goes to church for the praise and worship and the singing and the music.
Because I grew up Pentecostal. Facts.
And the ambiance and all that. I go to church for the message, for the word, for the whatever the pastor's preaching.
Yeah, if the praise and worship ain't hitting, then I can't praise and so we were going to this one church when I first got here, and we went there pretty regularly. I mean, the church by Walmart. I feel like we went there more than we went to any other church.
Yeah.
And the praise and worship, it was like a whole. First of all, it wasn't even like a church; it was like a building. But it was like this whole production. The songs were not hitting at all.
It was like a mini mega church.
Mini mega church, although it wasn't a church. And then the music, you ain't gonna say that music was fire. The praise and worship.
It was dry.
It was like
it was dry.
Boring. If that's what the kids, if that's dry. What they're saying by boring, facts. Because I'm just like,
I'm used to choirs really getting it in with their soul and yeah. This was just like a
no. I don't think it was clapping.
They was playing guitars. They was playing. There was I don't know. It
was a whole nice band.
It was harmonized. Yeah. Everything sounded professional.
It was dry.
It was great.
Dry.
I'm used to
yeah.
and the little off clap and all that.
If there ain't no tambourine, I'm not going.
They just wasn't really shaking it.
If there's no there was none.
Yeah.
Because nobody else really would like, because I guess it was so curated and so produced. It looked like something off TV, like off Sunday's Best, like American Idol.
Yeah.
It was so curated. The band was so perfect, and they were singing.
And
like,
people were coming out on cue. And
it's almost like you didn't even want to interrupt and join in because they were just singing this perfectly harmonized, boring praise. I'm like, where did they get this music? I don't remember a single song.
And they had the lyrics to the words up on the screen.
It was dry. Yeah. It was wax sauce. So when I say I need praise and worship to be fire, I need praise because I think I can take it. I guess what I'm saying is I can hear a message.
You like that one song? Worker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness.
They say that every Sunday.
That is who
and then they sing the same song.
I swear one of those people wrote that song.
I know who wrote that song. And then every Sunday they sang the same. I'm like, bruh, y'all, I can't. And it was dark in there. It was like a...
Yeah, they had the lights down low.
The whole
with
time.
The lights on stage. It was a production.
It was and they go to do mission trip. It was like a...
Bro,
it's a mega church, but it was just in a small location. A smaller building.
I just came across another reason why people might be leaving the church.
Which is what?
Like that church, like that pastor, you said they doing missions over in Africa and stuff, and like doing water things and stuff over there. When we got problems here in the U.S.,
I don't never understand that.
Yeah, like we got homeless people, a whole. I don't know, is it an epidemic or a pandemic with homelessness or hungry people? And
if you're talking about the U.S., it's epi.
It's a whole thing where like we got all these homeless people.
Or people in the church struggling.
People in the church struggling to pay their bills, to get their next meal. But we got these pastors going over to Africa.
And building well. Them folks raised like that first church, they raised like some crazy amount of money to build a well in Africa. And they used to show pictures at
and then another thing, that same church, they're doing these things in Africa and raising this money. They bought the pastor a Corvette, a brand new Corvette.
But they don't tithe their money, though, or do they? Because the stats that we're
apparently 10% of those people didn't tithe. But I think they took up a special offer.
Or the highest earning folks take it. Because if you make $300,000 a year or something, and you tithe, then that could get that Corvette and not long.
Bro, you got people in your congregation struggling, but here you are over in Africa doing missions. You're over and you're getting a brand new Corvette.
I think the millennial and the Gen Z, everybody after us, are probably more vocal about things. I couldn't fathom.
Yeah, I don't think our parents would never bring up.
Even now, I don't think. Like your mom's like all gung ho for the whale and the Corvette, like all she was all gung ho for all these different things and
the congregation body.
We're like, huh?
Because he's a good pastor. He does things in the community.
Yeah. So all of this to say, when we find a church, which I really hope to do, especially before we bring a child into this world, I'm not going to be cracking them over the head every Sunday, making them go to church. Like if they want, if they're spending the night at somebody's house, like I'm not going to be doing all that kind of extra stuff. But I would like to have at least a church home, and before then, that would be helpful. Because at the end of the day, I think it is helpful for the kid because you can't guarantee that every kid's going to be, maybe like what we were or whatever the case is. So I think it will be helpful for them to have. There's no harm in them having children who are on the same path, quote unquote, that they are. There's no harm in being active in church if that religion is what we're practicing in the home. And there's no harm in, just having a church home for them and all that kind of stuff. So we are actively looking. I think the last church that we tried, of course the pandemic slowed down a lot of this, but I think the last church was your mom's church, the new church.
Oh yeah, that new church.
What do you think about that? I mean, we didn't go back, but what do you think about it? We went during I ain't
mad at
the tail end of the pandemic. We were wearing masks.
We went.
And stuff.
We weren't wearing masks at that place.
Yeah, everybody but us.
They were, but
everybody but us had on a mask.
We just went this past Mother's Day.
Yes,
that was Mother's Day.
And everybody had on a mask but us.
I feel like people are starting to come out of masks.
Well, I think in the church, in that smaller, like in.
It wasn't too tiny though. I liked the church. I ain't mad. I ain't had no problems with it.
It wasn't memorable.
They had that little. I like the little program they had for Mother's Day with
But that was so cute.
It was the mothers of the church, the elders of the church, and they walked in, did some kind of dance. And all that.
That was super cute.
Yeah. Other than that, the music wasn't. Well, no.
It was okay.
Was it the men's church singing that day?
Oh Lord, never mind.
I think it was.
I think I'm thinking of the wrong church. Yeah,
I'm thinking it was the men's church that was singing that Sunday.
Yeah, to the women. Yeah. So we need to go back.
I mean, I ain't mad at it. I'd go back.
Yeah, I would too.
The only issue I have with that church, the only issue really, is that it's so far out.
I was gonna say that,
bro. It took 30 minutes to get there.
But the one church that I was going to with your mom, some big church. I think it's the one you maybe spent some time in coming up. Some big church that like
it's downtown where my school at.
I think.
Yeah.
Okay, you spent time in there.
Yeah, that's where I was an usher at.
Okay, that church is huge.
Yeah,
no?
it is. And they're still building on.
Like I can't even touch.
They had their own
this
apartment complex.
Huge. I'm talking.
They have an apartment complex for the elderly seniors in the church.
This church is like a school gymnasium kind of thing.
Yeah.
This church is massive.
They have the main sanctuary. They have the old sanctuary. Then they have like a children's whole building thing. And then they have like an apartment complex across the train tracks for like the elderly people in their church that can't pay their bills.
Yeah.
And then they have like a whole baseball field. Like, yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, I thought so. I'm
church.
like, when I went in there with your mom, because when I first got here, I think he would work on Sundays, so I would go to church with his mom, like different church. Then I went to your aunt's church. That was okay. Your aunt's church.
What church was that?
I don't know all these churches, but trust me, countless churches. And remember, I was going to be a part of the one church. They were planning the church with the people.
Oh
and
yeah.
Listen, when I was down here,
that was another people. But then I had my coworker start his church.
Yeah, so we went there.
Yeah,
we didn't mind that too bad. A lot of these places aren't actually at churches. They're just in these buildings.
And that's another
They're
thing.
like renting buildings.
Anybody could start a church. How do you know who you're following? If
which is important to us.
Yeah, because like I say, I go to church for the word and the message. Like how do you know who to follow if any random Joe Blow can come up with a church?
You know what?
Preach whatever he wants to preach.
Think
he could be gay and all and preach what he wants to preach.
Yeah.
And these people just rent out little small
that's the risk
buildings.
you run either
people
way.
People having churches and like little offices and corner offices and stuff like that. I don't know. These days, church is wild.
Yeah. So I would say that a part of the issue, like something that's severely underestimated or whatever, is people trying to establish a church that isn't the church that they grew up in or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, that was very difficult for me in college. Luckily, I went to where my brother lived, and then my mom would move there, so I didn't even really like that church. But I didn't really like it. I didn't really like it.
You went to their church because they told you to go to that church? It's pretty much how we pick the church we go to. Somebody tells us to go to this church.
We go try it.
And we keep on going.
Yeah.
Basically, excuse me.
But so I think that's severely, I guess what I'm saying is, I'm sure with millennials being the most educated group, I'm sure like going away to college and all of that has kind of hit, because I've tried there. I went to it's a bunch of churches on one block, and I would try and go to all three of the different churches. And I honestly, I love the praise and worship with all of those, and I didn't really mind those churches. But also, why not? I feel like sure you can explore churches too. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, basically, if you're not getting filled, is what they call it, or fed, then you're free to go try another church. And I think millennials are kind of moving about in that way. Like I couldn't fathom my mom not going to the church that her mom had her going to, which is the church that we went to because she had been going there her whole life. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I think millennials, with being the most educated group, we also going away to college and trying to find a new church. And then we're also more likely, I feel like, to move around. Like some people back in the day were not moving from their city or town or moving across country for job opportunities and not having kids. So therefore, if you're not really, like for us, of course, we're trying to find a church home, but a real reason for me to really make that happen soon-ish would be for the purpose of my child. So anyway, there are a lot of factors that go into it. Definitely let us know down in the comments if you guys are active
She's about to
participants.
wrap this up.
I am.
I was about to say, I can go on all day about
You
this.
can.
There's so many other things I want
But
to
you
touch
gotta do a
on.
part 2.
You want to do a part 2
You're gonna
next?
have to.
Oh, okay.
Another day when you have fresh ideas. Because I'm looking at the time.
Chad, because I was about to say, was there a point in time where, like, was there a specific situation that made you stop going to church?
I don't consider myself to have stopped going to church.
You just didn't ever want to wake up, so as soon as you was stopped being told to wake up. And
I don't
go,
consider myself to be a non-church goer, is what I'm saying.
But you don't.
But
Go
do I have to go to church every Sunday to be a church goer? And if
to each his
so,
own.
it's yes, to each his own. I'm glad you said that. And I mean,
just like tithing, to each his own.
just like anything else.
That's another thing I want to touch on tithing.
Yeah, we're
I
gonna
wanna
do that
touch
next time.
on-
But yeah, do you have to go to church every Sunday to be a church goer? That makes me an average church goer. But again, there are other factors that contribute. So I wouldn't consider myself a non-church goer. I feel like non-church goers don't set foot in churches, and church goers set foot in churches.
I don't know. I think I consider myself a non-church goer, but I mean, I consider myself a Christian and all that. But I just don't go to church.
You do go to church.
I do every now and then, every blue moon.
I mean, you've gone to church more times in your life on Sunday than you've not.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I guess you're talking about overall.
Yeah, I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, also, I feel like millennials probably are thinking more the way that we're thinking and challenging processes or processes. But yeah, I'm like, does it make me a non-church goer just because over the last couple of years? Well,
over the last couple of years, I haven't gone, but I'm a church goer.
Skipping the pandemic and going before that, just because I'm not in church every Sunday, does that make me a non-church goer?
Unless you're watching it online.
Eh.
Some people go to church online, and that was me during the pandemic. Every now and then I pull it up. Or I'd be scrolling Facebook, and somebody would share their little live feed of their church, and I'd click in, tap in for a few seconds.
I guess what I'm saying is no one would ever be able to convince me that I am any less serving of a Christian or any less deserving or worthy or of calling myself a Christian or any less religious or whatever the case is, just because I'm not like moving heaven and earth every Sunday morning to go to church.
What do they say? Because you don't tithe.
Well, that's a part of not doing that's a part of not belonging to a church, right? That kind of comes with the territory of not belonging to a church right now. But either way, nobody can tell me what me and God have going on. No one's ever been able.
That's what I'm talking about. Because I was about to say that that struck a nerve in me just now.
Clearly,
because that was partly one of the reasons why I stopped going to church.
Well, the thing is,
because I had a personal thing, and that made me not want to go to church ever again. But we'll talk about that in the next part too.
Okay. Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. With the dude?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, he really did not.
It wasn't just a one thing. It was a.
You save that for the next time because we're going to be 2 hours right here. But, anywho, I think, what was it? Somebody said something about just like a car parked in a garage. What is it? Y'all know the quote I'm talking about. I think Beyonce said it. Being parked in a garage doesn't make. Anyway, I'm not even gonna go there because I'm
lose value.
No, I'm already twisting this up, but y'all know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I think that I think that's what it comes down to is that you don't go to church. Well, I don't go to church for anything other than fellowship, and it's like a bonus. You know what I'm saying?
I don't like fellowship
because I can have church, right? Why can't I have church with you? I always say that. His mom or anybody.
They say all you need is what? 2 people in God.
Just like we have where 2 or more gathered.
Yeah, that's what it is. Where 2 or more gathered.
That's what I'm saying. I wholeheartedly believe that. Just like we can have a party with
you really
2 of us.
can. I mean, because that's basically what Bible study is.
And what I'm saying is, if we open up the Bible, if we watching church on TV, if we praising and worshiping, I don't even
Who's
need
to
2.
say that's not good enough?
I really just need 1. I'm 10 toes down, and I can have a whole praise and worship and by myself. But 2 toes, I just think church, if you're going to a church where you really belong and really being fed, is like icing on the cake. I can understand how some people might want to stay rooted in that more so than other people, so maybe they don't go back to a previous lifestyle, or they don't fall, because if you're surrounded by fellow Christians, at church and in different groups and activities, and such, then obviously I feel like you're going to be more likely to set out to do whatever it is that you're trying to do. But I don't think that it really, I think that's the purpose of it. It's just like icing on the cake and whatever. Because me and you could go to church, one church by ourselves on a Sunday. Nobody else is in there. Isn't that are we not having church?
Yeah, we have church.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I don't have any harsh feelings towards either non-church goers or non-religious people or whatever. I'm just an open book, and I just want to hear people's stories, and I don't know. It's not all black and white. Like, I don't go to church. Look, okay, so like, why is it that a person might not go to church? Maybe they can't find a church, which is, I feel like, the case for us. Or maybe
there's too many options.
Maybe there are too many options. Who knows what the reason is? So I don't think we should be so quick to judge. And honestly, I feel like that is the complete opposite of Christianity. I will not be passing judgment on any person, place, or thing and condemning them for their actions, because I feel like as Christians, the whole point is to kind of be neutral, I feel like. And, even with people who are different from me, I'm not going to be, condemning.
Lady.
My word. I'm not going to be passing judgment because the cool thing about, she's trying to leave, but she can't cut the cool thing. I'm not going to be passing judgment because that's not what I think is right. So anyway, you want to wrap up this?
So yeah, that was our little spiel about, Christianity and young adults, young teenagers leaving the church and why they're leaving the church. We dropped a couple facts. We dropped a whole lot of facts in this one, actually. Yeah, church, it's a whole thing. And we have way more to talk about. We're going to spin the block on this one. So yeah, I guess that'll do it. I still feel like a rapper. I feel, hopefully this podcast was like more quality, and hopefully, the sound was a little bit more
For
better. Sure. But yeah, I still feel like a rapper. I low-key feel like dropping a Hot 16 right now.
All right, you guys. So that is it for part one.
Give me a beat. Give me a beat. Give me a beat.
Was part one of our.
Yo, she don't want to give me a beat, but I'm going to rock it a cappella. Mark got the flow. I should have been signed to Rockefeller. I told Jay-Z nah because my flow is way better. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to do it by myself so I can make more cheddar. So now I'm on this podcast with my wife, Shay. We recording today, so it's going to be a great day. Lady looking at me like, yo, what is you doing? And I'm like, yo. All right, that's it.
Please. I'm not even ending this the proper way. We're just going to see you guys next week for a brand new episode of A Couple Facts to Podcast.
Every Wednesday.
Bye, guys.
Bye.